Hi, and welcome to your planning nugget for today. Today is part one of access management. Imagine you have a home, house, apartment, townhome. It's your home. Imagine your home and its occupants, whether it's pets, your family, your roommates, etc. And in this home, everyone's there, everyone's happy. And because it's your home, you protect it. You protect it from the outside with locked doors, locked windows, maybe a security system, one of those doorbells with a camera on it. And you also protect the stuff that's inside. If you have kids, you probably put the chemicals out of reach. If you have pets, maybe you keep the food that's not healthy for your pets out of reach. Or you keep the dog food in a place where they don't gorge themselves. If you have roommates, then every roommate will have an area, maybe it's their room or an area where they keep their private items, things that they don't want everyone to just be able to see. And when guests come by, you don't usually just allow them through every private area of your home. You have general entertaining areas. Maybe it's a family room. Maybe everyone hangs out in the dining room, or there's a basement den where everyone plays pool. They have general areas. And even if these guests come into your private areas because they've reached a certain level of trust, like you've known them for 20 years, they still don't have unadulterated access to every place in your house because that's just not safe. Now compare this home to your business. Do you protect your business in the same way? Access management is one of the ways that you can protect who has access and when. So at a minimum, there are about 3 high-level types of access. There's the outsider access. That could be a vendor, a contractor, a customer. In other words, these are the visitors to your home. And then there's the internal access. And this is broken out by various departments, also known as these are the residents of your home. And then there's the privileged access. These people can deny or grant access. They can configure how people will have their access. And they do all that special behind the scenes stuff. In other words, this is the person who owns the house or home, the decision maker of that home. This could be the homeowner. In some cases, it might be the parents if you're relating it to a family. Those 3 types of access need to be locked down in a way so that they only get access to the things they need. The rule of thumb is least privileges. So give the person the least amount of privileges that they need to do their job or to complete their activities. On the outsider level, you need to determine what kind of visitor it is. You need to determine why they're there. Again, are they there because they're trying to procure your services, or are they there to support you giving services or creating products? How long are they going to be there? Are they there for one day? Are they there for a day a week? Once a week for 3 weeks? Are they there for a 3-month stint? Also, can someone vouch for them in their activities? You need to have someone that's internal to review and to look and to make sure that whatever that outsider is doing is what they should be doing. If it's a consumer, then maybe it's the person that's doing the operations because they have that relationship. They're doing that face-to-face encounter, whether it's vis-a-vis the Zoom or WebEx or things like that, or whether it's eye-to-eye, we're in the same room. If it's a vendor or a contractor, there is a point of contact that is inside the company that is with them the entire time that they're doing their activities or is reviewing their activities. Now, when it comes to internal, their access should also be separated. It can be separated based on functionality. That is at a minimum. Someone who's doing HR functionalities should not have the same access as your legal. Your legal should not have the same access as your IT. Your IT should not have the same actions as, say, your sales clerk. Criticality. Your department head needs to have access to more critical type information than, say, your intern. So making sure that someone who does not need access to that critical information does not have access to that information. And if they have access to the information and they need it, then making sure that that access is locked down a little bit more because it's critical data information. It could be intellectual property, it could be your pricing model, it could be your financial statements if you're not a public company, it could be your patents that you have pending. It could be anything that is, or designs that you have, sales pitches, things like that. Not everyone needs access to that information. Also, it could be separated by location. If you have more than one location, more than one office, then people in one office, then they don't necessarily need access to the information in another office. And if they do, you can put that in a central location. Or if they're at a certain level, you can have them access a certain folder and at that location. But you don't need to share all the information through all the locations because once you create that ability to access everything at every location, if someone accesses one, then that means they can access everything. Next is that privileged. That privileged access is very, very crucial. There's always going to be privileged access because you need someone to grant or deny that access, someone to change who has access to what based on that functionality or that criticality or that location. And their access needs to be locked down as well. Now, the key things to understand about that privileged access is that access needed all the time, every day? Or does that access need to just be temporary? If that access is temporary, there is a way that you can lock it down to where you only access it for a certain amount of time and then it just shut out. And then if it's a permanent access, then you need to make sure that it is still monitored, regardless of whether or not it's temporary or if it's permanent. The fewest number of people that have that privileged access, the better. Because, again, it is a privileged access. I can't stress this enough. It is very powerful. So the fewest number of people that have access, the better. Now, in general, no matter what level of access you have, whether it's outsider, internal, or privileged, no matter what type of access, it needs to be reviewed because people move all the time. Whether you are a new hire, you change a role, you leave, as part of your disaster recovery, someone had privileged access because someone else was gone. Some duties were delegated to someone else. There needs to be controls in place to review access in general, as well as when those changes take place, make sure they have the right access when they need it, and then access gets removed when it's supposed to be removed. So to recap, 3 types of access: outsider, insider, and privileged. Access needs to only be least access needed. Make sure you understand why they need that access. You need to review that access. You need to remove that access when it's no longer needed. And that is your planning nugget for the day. Thanks, and I'll see you for part 2.